everybody! Welcome to another episode of HPCritical. It is a podcast where my friends and I talk all things gaming. I am Jerel and I'm joined by Brandon.
Yo!
And Kellie.
Hey, everybody.
Gabe is not here today for reasons, but he will possibly be back wearing leggings next week if that's your thing. And we have so much to discuss because we weren't here last week. And I was trying to find the thing that I wanted to talk about first. And then I just lost it. So while I look for it, have you guys been playing anything recently?
Yeah, over the 2 weeks, I finally finished the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Very happy with how that story turned out.
2 weeks? We've been gone for 2 weeks?
Yeah. Because we didn't do a podcast last week. We didn't have a podcast. You just said we didn't have a podcast last week, which I can confirm we did not. So so it was like 2 weeks ago since our last podcast.
Oh, okay. Since our last podcast. Okay, I thought you were saying we haven't had a podcast in 2 weeks. I was like,
no, okay. No. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, since that time, I have finished Great Ace Attorney 2. It has been a lot of fun. Chugging along on Fire Emblem 3 Houses. That's pretty much been the main games I have been playing, and a little bit of Final Fantasy 12, because JRPG Club is a thing.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Final Fantasy 14 for some reason. I just got so excited for no reason.
I don't got time for 14 right now. Wish I
Yes, you do. You choose to not have time for 14, sir. If you had time to finish Great Ace Attorney and all the other games you just mentioned, that means you did have time for 14. You chose not to play it.
That's correct. I didn't have time to play that because I was playing other things. I made my choice. I made the decisive decision.
Well, I ain't been playing shit. I've been unfortunately busy. What about you, Kellie?
I haven't really played anything, but before my Game Pass ran out, I went down the Peggle.
You played what?
I played Peggle.
Oh, how is that? I've heard little about it.
Please tell me. Yes.
Good things, but not a lot of specific things. Is what I meant.
I mean, it's really just an addictive, I don't know. It's not really hard. It's just kind of a fun game where you just pop.
It's a puzzle game, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Before my Game Pass ran out, I was playing Peggle 2. I've beat it once before. I think I've played it but you don't really remember.
Sure.
I mean, it's Peggle. I think that's all you need to know. It's Peggle. So I guess now we can go ahead and jump right into some things from a few weeks ago, or at least last week. We saw the Netflix trailer for Sonic Prime.
Yeah.
Which I actually didn't watch yet. So, Brandon.
Okay, so you really didn't miss too much.
Great.
Trailer is kind. It's a teaser. It is like a 15-second teaser. But it's the first we've seen of actual footage of the actual show, and it looks pretty good. The animation looks like it's gonna be pretty good. We got the new voice actor for Sonic, which is the first.
I was just gonna say, I have one question,
yes.
And is this the one where the black guy is voicing Sonic?
That is correct. Yes, it is.
That's the only thing I know about this show.
It is the first black voice actor for Sonic since Jaleel White in the old Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon days.
Yay!
And yes, absolutely, I love it. And what was I gonna say? There was some trepidation among the longtime fans though, because in the games it's voiced by Roger Craig Smith, and of course the movies have Ben Schwartz. So they clarified this is just because this is a Canadian Netflix production that they have different voice casts for everything. Everyone who's still voicing in the games will continue to do so. The movie cast will be the movie cast. So it's it is what it is. It's some production, and based on the very short clip, damn, he sounds like a really good Sonic. I have no doubt that he's gonna absolutely nail this role. I'm curious to see how the other characters sound, where the story goes. From what I've heard about this show, it's supposed to be written by a guy called Ian Flynn. He has done Sonic comics for Archie and I think Mega Man comics. And people who have read those comics have said they're really, really good. Like he loves his characters and knows how to tell a good story with them. And now he's writing a show. So you know what? It's gonna be a good story. And it's 24 episodes. That's a lot for a Netflix show. So, I don't know if they're going to drop that all at once, or if 12 now and 12 later. I don't know. Either way, I'm looking forward to it. A lot of people slept on the last animated show, Sonic Boom, and I don't blame them because the Sonic Boom games are trash, but the show was not. The show, Sonic Boom, was actually hilarious.
My nephew is going to love the Sonic show. Yeah. So, speaking of people getting nailed, or what did you say? I think you said the show got nailed or something.
I didn't say any of that. What the hell?
I think you did. Whatever.
I did not say that. What the?
You said something, and I had a segue, and I forgot it. Whatever. So I'm gonna keep it. Speaking of people getting nailed, Bobby Kotick is getting nailed once again because this was, I think, a week ago. NYC is suing Activision, saying that Bobby Kotick was unfit to negotiate the Microsoft deal, and that the deal was rushed to get him and the board out of danger of lawsuits over how they handled misconduct allegations at the company. Now,
Tracks, yeah.
yeah, I was like, I can't remember, and maybe you guys remember if when we talked about this, we mentioned something like this. I don't remember. I know I remember thinking, this is clearly they're trying to sell because they are trash and they know it, and they're trying to, like, you know, push everything under the rug and just claim Microsoft owns us now and whatever. But yeah, any thoughts on this? Anyone surprised? Anyone not surprised?
Oh, I am wholly unsurprised. If you had told me this when the acquisition was happening, that would have totally tracked. I mean, a lot of people were speculating it anyway, so to hear the confirmation, like, yeah, sure. They are so desperate. They will do everything but actually make this right to make this right. So, yeah, okay, we'll let ourselves get bought out instead of changing things for the better. Why not?
Well, I mean, we also had talked about how they were settling some of the lawsuits already, like, out of court, I believe. We talked about how they were attempting to settle some of the lawsuits, but, okay, one last question, correct me if I'm wrong. Los Angeles sued them, and now New York City's suing them, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's
been a while since I followed, like, the specifics, but sure, that sounds right.
That's so funny to me. Like, damn. Literally, like, the two different coastlines are suing you.
Yeah, East Coast big city and West Coast big city are suing you. It's a pincer attack.
I feel like that's when you know things are pretty bad when it's coming from both sides of the U.S. So we have a date for Summer Games Fest. It is going to be streaming live Thursday, June 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yay!
Yay!
And I'm lucky because Brandon is going to be here with me watching it. Yay!
For Summer Games Fest? Oh, yeah, I didn't say that right now. I was going to be there for Xbox Bethesda, but I can adjust my schedule hopefully. Because I do want to watch.
Literally just said no. Like,
I know. Like, I
never said that, Jerel.
I did not, but I do want to. Especially now that we're hearing that Summer Games Fest is gonna have some pretty big reveals. Now I hope those are actual big reveals. But to be fair to Summer Games Fest and Jeff Keighley, they have been. The Summer Games Fest has been getting better each year. That first year was trash. The year after it though, a lot better. It was much better pace, and there were some actual big announcements. Like there was the first gameplay of Elden Ring was on that Summer's Games Fest, and a lot of people were excited about that. Obviously, people just can't stop talking about Elden Ring, so, you know, having that game first be shown gameplay-wise at the Summer Game Fest is a big deal. So, I do have high expectations for this one. So, yes, I would love to see it live. I will have to make some adjustments at work, because as it stands, that is like a Thursday, and I am working.
No, yeah, it's my fault. I didn't realize it was on a Thursday. I'm sorry. I thought it was that Saturday that you were coming.
I wish it was. But if I can make
my fault.
Kellie in the background. Your cat was like looking like it was trying to jump out the window.
I mean, you can see that he's already destroyed the blinds, and they put.
Now I can.
Yeah, they're destroyed already. He's wild. I saved him from outside, so now he just destroys my home inside. Oh
my god, that's like Joker, who I don't want to say his name because he's gonna come. I also saved him from outside, and he destroys it like it's inside. So is there anything, Kellie, specific that would make you excited for Summer Games Fest? Because I know you've been kind of out of the gaming sphere for a little bit. You know, life happens. So is there anything that would actually make you excited for Summer Games Fest?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I would be looking for. I really don't. I don't know what would get me back into gaming. More time in the day. Can they...
Can Summer Games Fest please announce more time in the day? Thank you.
That is the one announcement I think everybody would be excited for. More time.
Literally everyone.
Time expansion pack to your daily life. Oh,
yes,
man.
yes.
I was gonna say, I didn't mention it when I was talking about it, but there have been rumors that there'll be a new trailer for Sonic Frontier in the Summer Games Fest, and the rumor that there'll be a trailer for Final Fantasy XVI. I would be over the moon for either of those two things. So I hope that happens.
Speaking of Final Fantasy 16 and Square
Ooh,
Enix, there
decent
are the
segue.
rumors that thank you. The first one about nailing people didn't work, so I had to try again. Speaking of Final Fantasy 16, well, before I go into Final Fantasy 16, I'm gonna ask Kelly another question, which I feel like I already know the answer to. Kelly, have you finished Final Fantasy 7 Remake? The HP Critical sponsors are very sad. They spent
Wait.
$60 on that game.
Oh. I haven't even moved my PlayStation to my new house.
Oh my god.
I guess I could put it on my PS5 though. I just know I have never finished it.
You now have a PS5. You can do that.
Yeah, I do. Yay.
She's like, I feel so bad because I got Kelly and Gabe to both play Final Fantasy VII Remake, and they were both really enjoying it, and then they both stopped. So I'm just like, whatever.
There was just so many other things to play. I feel like that's part of the reason why I have trouble gaming now, because there's just too much. It's just too much.
Yeah, I
can't
completely
decide
understand.
on one thing to play whenever there's like hundreds of games out. I'm just like,
No, yeah, I feel that. I was like, I had like an hour, and I was like, oh, let me play a game, and then I saw like 6 different options, and I was like, I'm gonna just watch Judge Judy and drink some tea, and I did, and I didn't play anything, and then I found something else to do anyway. So I understand, like, there's a lot of, yes, I agree. So there was a trailer, not a trailer, there was a rumor, from I think it was from Naoki Yoshida, who said in an interview that Final Fantasy 16 is close to being finished. I am paraphrasing here, but he did say it was close to being finished, which is why a lot of people are expecting a trailer for Final Fantasy 16 soon. I believe he was talking about the Uniqlo shirts that were coming for Final Fantasy, because there is a shirt for Final Fantasy 16, even though the game hasn't come out in the collection. And so during an interview, he did say that the game is nearing completion. So I think we heard about it like 2 years ago at this point. And like we saw one trailer and then nothing. So it'll be very interesting to see.
That trailer was shown like, I think like maybe 2 months before the PS5 even came out. So yeah, we are nearing 2 years since we've seen anything for that game.
I'm really happy that they haven't overshown it, because Square Enix is very notorious for showing all the spoilers of every game that's coming out, Kingdom Hearts. So I'm actually happy that they haven't shown it yet. But are you guys interested in Final Fantasy 16 at all?
Oh, dude! Like I said earlier, if they show that at Summer Games Fest, I would be over the moon. Like, I don't know. I know the setting has not worked for a lot of people, but I don't know. Something about it, something about the specific character, something about the darkness of that trailer, just really spoke to me. It's just like I don't know. It hit me in that very specific Game of Thronesy way, and the way the violence is going to be treated. Didn't they say this is going to be like the first M-rated like mainline Final Fantasy game? Wasn't that?
I don't remember.
I feel like it was, and if so, like I'm down for like a mature like mainline Final Fantasy. I want to see how dark
all
they
mature
can get with it.
though.
Yeah, and I don't know, the 2 characters that they showed, Clive and Joshua, just like I don't know, something about them. I'm just like, I want to see their story. I want to see how these noble families all come together. I'm just really interested in the story. The story more than anything else. The gameplay, I got to see more of it because they showed us barely anything. But the story. I play RPGs for stories, man, and this one looks interesting at the very least.
I was just like, damn, they are all pale, and I don't like the character designs at all. Which, there's nothing wrong with being pale. Don't get me wrong. Before I get like misquoted or clipped, I love pale people. I love all people of all shades and all colors.
Can I also say that is also a complaint that I have, that no person of color really shown in the trailer. Also, as far as the party member, I mean, there still have a lot that can be shown, but it's like 2 dudes, and I'm like, I gave Final Fantasy 15 a pass for having the bros going on the road trip. I'm like, all right, whatever, you can do one all-guy party member for one game, sure, why not? I don't want you to do that again. Can we have some women, persons of color on the party back? Like, I do be missing that, and they don't.
Well, I think the girl is, I don't know her name because it's been 2 freaking years, but I think the girl that's there is also probably going to be a party member.
Okay.
And I'm excited because, it's tied to the Eidolons, the whatever.
Sure.
I am excited about the story because I have said this before, but I got to Shadowbringers in Final Fantasy XIV, and I cried on, like, one of the first missions. It was very sad. And I was like, why is this game doing this to me? It's crazy. What game did I just say?
Shadowbringers is what you just said.
Okay, yes. Everyone, just go play Shadowbringers. Like, if you don't want to play Final Fantasy 14, you should probably play all of it. But like, go play Shadowbringers. It's a really great story. I cried on like the beginning of that story. It's so good. And that one and Final Fantasy 12, which we're playing for JRPG Club. The story writer is Kazutoyo Maehiro, and he's also going to be writing for FF16. And the director of Final Fantasy 14 is also going to be directing Final Fantasy 16. So if you, like millions of other people, enjoy Final Fantasy 14 and the direction that it took, and can respect the director who was able to take that game from nothing and make it something, well, he is the guy who is working on Final Fantasy 16 with a team of really great story writers, people from Final Fantasy 12 and Final Fantasy 14. So the story for sure, I already know it's going to be fucking amazing. I'm freaking amazing. It's going to be freaking amazing. So I'm super excited for it. But since we're talking about Square Enix, I know that y'all know that Square Enix has sold Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal to Embracer Group for $300 million.
That's some stupid.
The most notable titles from those are, of course, Tomb Raider, Legacy of Kain, Thief. They did keep some of the game studios from their Western studio, but basically Square Enix was just like, fuck all these Western studios, like we don't need them anymore, we don't want them, and for whatever reason they sold them for $300 million.
Oh,
now,
man. Gabe just came on chat to say, I don't know what the topic is, but Jerel's wrong.
I'm not wrong. It's a fact.
Oh, man.
So yeah, they sold these. Deus Ex is another one from these from this group. But as mentioned, I think Tomb Raider is probably the household name of Crystal Dynamics at this point. And I hope that this doesn't fuck with any collaborations going forward. But yeah, so they sold all these for $300 million. $300 million sounds like a lot of money, but when we're looking at acquisitions from other studios in the billions for, like, you know, for things that Microsoft have purchased and Sony have purchased, it's literally crazy that $300 million is all they sold. And the reason I say that is because Tomb Raider alone, I was looking this up, this is what I was looking for. Tomb Raider alone, the franchise, sold 38 million units worldwide. If you sell 38 million units at, I would say, what's a good discount price for Tomb Raider?
Well, how much?
You know what? I can't do math. It was originally $60.
Okay,
but it doesn't matter. I can't do
$29.99.
math. Fine. If you sold 38 million copies of a franchise that is a household name, 38 million copies, I am sure that you get past $300 million. So the fact that they sold like 5 different developers for just $300 million is ridiculous to me. Like, they sold the fucking Tomb Raider IP for less than, like, it probably made as a franchise through Crystal Dynamics. That is fucking crazy. Maybe Brandon, do you know who developed the Marvel Avengers game?
Avengers, I actually want to say, was Crystal Dynamics as well. I don't think they did.
So, there it is. Yeah. Yay! The reason that Square Enix was like, fuck these Western studios is because of how Marvel's Avengers did. They were like, nah, we don't need to deal with this. And so they sold it all. It was Crystal Dynamics.
But did they sell Eidos Montreal as well? Was that one of the ones you said? Yes,
I did.
Well, that's very odd because Eidos Montreal developed the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which was not trash. It was actually very good.
Yes, but it didn't sell well.
Oh, didn't it?
You know, it reviewed really well. As far as I remember, that game reviewed really well, but it didn't sell well. So, you know, not only is it Tomb Raider, but it's also Marvel's Avengers. It's also Guardians of the Galaxy. It's all these games that they were, you know, pumping out. But also, I will say it's probably because these games that had this games as a service model, I don't think Square Enix does them really well. I mean, what was that Square Enix game we all play? Outriders, right?
Yeah.
Kellie just made a face. So, like, that's another one that's kind of in that, you know, games as a service type model that I don't think they do very well, you know? Marvel's Avengers was hot trash. I liked it. I liked the story part, but it was hot trash. Tomb Raider did good. Guardians of the Galaxy did good, but to them it was worth
Yeah,
$300 million.
it's
Which is
it's
nothing.
worth mentioning that Square Enix is notorious for setting the bar way too high. Like I don't doubt that Guardians at least at least a decent success. But if they were projecting that to do, I don't know, Final Fantasy numbers, then they'll be like, oh man, this didn't sell well, get rid of it all. They're just like, they've done that in the past. They really have. There's been games that have been a success that they just said weren't because they were predicting more.
I'm just shocked. You sold Marvel's Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Tomb Raider, and Deus Ex, and Legacy of Kain, and all these other titles for only $300 million when one of those titles alone could make more than that.
Yeah.
Like,
But the overhead on them is a lot too. Like you have to pay all the people to work on it. You have to make the game. Like I think that there's a lot of like I don't know what their margins are. Like how much do they really make? How much is
yeah,
like
I'm not sure.
actual income? Because like if you sell something, that's all your money. So they're gonna just have it. Like I don't know how much they really make across all those titles after labor and everything else that goes into them, that's the only comment that I would have. Just because I don't know. I don't know how tight their margins are, but I just don't think that you're making $300 million off of it on one
disagree.
game.
I am okay. Maybe not on one game, sure, but when you're selling 38 million copies of of a series, and that's just one series, and you're selling 5 different like developers of series that are like Marvel's Avengers was huge. It was trash, but it was huge. Like, yeah, even Guardians of the Galaxy was like it was. These are. Especially now when everyone's all like MCU, blah, 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 whatever. Like, these are big titles. And even if your margins aren't, that... If you're not making that type of money up, they could have 100% sold all those studios for more than $300 million. Like, there's no way they couldn't have sold for more than that.
I feel like they probably cut their losses on it because when they're not making Final Fantasy games, they're probably losing money. Like, they probably realize that now. Like, oh, it would almost be a waste of their time to try to work on another game whenever they have, like, this Final Fantasy cash cow going. I mean, especially with the success Final Fantasy 14 has had now. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those scenarios where, like, they're better off to have all of their forces working on Final Fantasy games and just let those other studios go. Maybe it's just stretching them too thin.
I can actually agree with that.
Yeah, I also agree with Kelly, and I also mentioned that, with the specific studios that are being sold, what's essentially left for Square Enix, for the most part, is their
Japanese shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Final Fantasy ain't going anywhere, Dragon Quest anywhere, Kingdom Hearts ain't going anywhere, and all these other re-releases that they've been doing on like Switch and PlayStation, I guess aren't going anywhere either. So all those studios are staying. It's interesting. It's the opposite. It seems like the opposite of what Sony did, where they got rid of all the Japanese studios and said, no, just the Western cinematic shit. Forget this Gravity Rush nonsense. Nobody wants that. And Square Enix doing the complete opposite. It's weird.
Square has so much money. Like, they can afford. I think we were looking at one of their fiscal years, and like I think we were looking at the year where Marvel's Avengers tanked, but it didn't matter because Final Fantasy XIV made so much money that like they didn't lose anything. They were at a net profit that year with the failure of a game like Marvel's Avengers. I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the podcast too. And they have so much money that they are able to put these games out for Western audiences from these Western studios and give them chances. And if they don't work, they're not going to be at a loss. Like, obviously they're going to be at a loss because like anytime that you're not making money, you're at a loss. But sure. When they come back and they look at their financial year, there are gains from just their mobile section like alone is making millions of dollars. And that's not even talking about MMOs. That's not talking about their big franchises. Like, but I also did mention that they've been publishing a lot of random shit too. That's just bad. Like, I think I talked about it on the podcast, or at least in the chat. Like, they will literally. There's a point where I was like, y'all are just publishing anything. Like, what is that game that's really really bad that I was just talking about? Babylon's Fall. Like, that shit was trash. That came out was trash. And like, I was like, what? Like, who over at Square Enix is okaying these things? Like, what's going on? So hopefully with selling this, they'll be able to recoup some of their losses, because I think Kellie was 100% right. Like, when you look at it from a business standpoint, they're probably not making them. And Brandon, you're right too. I feel like they're probably not making the amount of money that Square would like them to make, even if they are successes. When you're comparing it to something like Final Fantasy 14, and that the revenue of that. Or I wouldn't even say that, because that's an MMO, but like if you're comparing it to the revenue of something like Final Fantasy 7 or like one of their mainline, or like a Kingdom Hearts game versus Marvel's Avengers or Tomb Raider, obviously those margins are going to be huge, because that's an audience that's going to buy that game in Japan, but it's also going to buy it in the West versus maybe just a Western audience, or whatever. Anyway. There were two interesting things about this. The first one was the fact that they sold it for so little money. I still think $300 million is nothing for all those franchises. The other was the group that they sold it to, which was Embracer Group, which I had to look up because I was like, what the fuck is Embracer Group?
I don't know them either. Please enlighten us.
So Embracer Group is a group that was founded by I forgot who they were founded by, actually, but they used to go under the name Nordic Games. And they've been actually purchasing a bunch of different developers for quite some time. So they own THQ Nordic. Yeah. They own Gearbox Software. So what is that game from Gearbox that I can't think of the name right now? Yes, they own Borderlands now. They own what's that? Dark Horse Comics, so they're also in comics, and now they're owning Tomb Raider and Marvel's Avengers. Like, they've been just quietly collecting a bunch of different really prominent game studios, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with it. Dark Horse Media is theirs, Koch Media is theirs. What is this? I feel like I've seen this before too. But yeah, they basically have been buying up a bunch of different developers that are for sale. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do, because we don't know, like, no one knows what they're going to do with all these developers. Like, are they going to... Because we do know that there's another Tomb Raider coming out, and it's going to be on Unreal Engine 5. So does that mean... I don't know what that means. I guess we find out. Little Nightmares is an IP, apparently, that they own. Biomutant from THQ Nordic is one that they now own. What is this? Anyway, yeah, so they've been quietly buying a bunch of different... Gearbox just put out Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Mm-hmm. That is now a... Embracer Group owns that, so yeah. And now they own, Tomb Raider too. They've been,
well, I mean,
quietly collecting lots of studios or developers.
I don't know what this means for the future of the games, but at least there is a future.
And comics.
And
they have comics too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see. I mean, that's a solid resume. I don't see necessarily any negative stuff to come from it.
I wish that I had enough money to just buy up studios.
Yeah,
I would 100% be Embracer Group. Like, it would just be called Jerel Group. I would just, you guys selling, I'm buying, and then I'm gonna be like, just make your games, people. Just go make them and be happy. And then they're gonna make all their games and be happy. So I posted, since we were talking about Final Fantasy 14, I want to quickly talk about a conversation that I wanted to have specifically with Kellie, because I know that she's played in the past, but obviously I would love your opinion as well, Brandon. I posted and I know that you mentioned it when I posted it, that there was a poll by NHK, and it was the demographics of people who play Final Fantasy 14 in 2019. And this poll showed that 49.2% of players were female and 50.8% of players were male. And it also showed that the highest demographic age-wise was the 30 to 39 age range, followed by the 20 to 29, and then the 40 to 49. And there were still some people at the 60 plus age range that were also playing Final Fantasy 14. And so the reason I wanted to talk about it is because, first of all, I've never seen an MMO that was almost which Brandon did mention, it's like almost a 50-50 split in player base, right, based on sex alone, like fucking crazy. But I did want to know, like, you guys' opinions on that. And my actual question was just like, Kellie, specifically the question I wanted to ask was, do you think that the reason that Final Fantasy 14, and this might be a sexist question, so I apologize if it is, but do you think that the reason that Final Fantasy 14 is so welcoming and inviting and less,
Toxic.
I don't know the word. Yes, toxic. Less toxic than something like World of Warcraft is because half the player base is female.
I don't know what percentage of the player base is female for World of Warcraft, but
Me either, but I'm sure it's not a 50-50 split.
yeah, I would probably say you're right. I didn't think that you were about to say that. But like maybe I feel like that is a good indicator because I mean women are a lot nicer lobby,
That's just
to be
facts.
honest. It's also just like that kind of game. I don't know. I don't know. I can't believe it's almost a 50-50 split. That is insane to me that it's that close. I that shocked me when you said that. I was like, no way. But I think it's just one of those games where like everyone's kind of welcome. I don't know. I don't know if it's because of women or if that's why they thought it was safe. Like did they choose that because it was welcoming already? And then it's just, okay, well, there's half women now. Or was it because of it being half women that it's welcoming? I'm not sure.
All right, chicken or egg situation.
I know, like, for me specifically, there's so many LGBT servers on FF14, which is not, it's not as prevalent as something like WoW for sure, but when your game is one of the first games that has same-sex marriage in it for an MMO, like, of course you're going to cater to a certain demographic that's going to go over, and then when you also have a lot of the clothing options are not gendered, so that you can basically some of them are, but basically you can wear whatever you want, and then you have a game like, was it called New World? Was that the one we were talking about, where they had the classes that were based on your your gender?
Sorry, he's all over myself.
No, it's fine. Okay. Was it New World that had the classes that were based on your gender, and I was talking shit about it?
Yeah, I think so.
So when you come from something like as archaic as New World, and then you have something as open as Final Fantasy XIV, I think it does definitely create a welcoming atmosphere. But I literally read that and I was like, oh my god, this is why this game is so nice. Because like there's almost a 50-50 split versus like toxic dude bros that you're going to get in Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. So it's pretty interesting.
I swear, every new thing I hear about Final Fantasy XIV is just like, this game is out here achieving world peace, for real.
They have a new PvP mode, and that shit is so much fun. Their PvP used to suck. It used to be trash. I played it a few times. It was trash. Like, nobody plays for PvP. Now, it's basically a push the payload type thing, and you and 4 other people have to stand on that shit, kill the enemy, and get the shit to the other side. It is so much fun. It's so fast-paced. It's such a great time. Anyone who's listening, come play PvP with me. This shit is awesome. I will play for hours on end. It's like Overwatch, but better and not toxic because it's not from Blizzard. Yay! Gotham Knights is now a a PS5 and Xbox Series X exclusive. It is no longer coming to PS4 and Xbox One. When it was announced for last gen and current gen. They just came out and said, no, we're not doing last gen anymore. We're specifically doing current gen. And the only thing I could think about was if only Cyberpunk had learned or done this ahead of time, this game, it would have been so much better. But how do you guys feel about Gotham Knights 2? I'm sorry, Gotham Knights, not Gotham Knights 2. How do you feel about Gotham Knights no longer coming to last gen? Especially for PS5, especially for the PS5 still being kind of hard to get.
In the words of Donald Glover, good.
Really?
No, I'm actually very happy about that because okay, let me back up a little bit. Obviously, I don't want to exclude anyone from like being able to play this game because this obviously, a lot of people are looking forward to it. At the same time, though, we're getting, by the time Gotham Knights comes out, it'll have been 2 years since the new next gen consoles. Now, obviously, it's still difficult for people to get like the new consoles, and I'm hoping by the time Gotham Knights comes out, it's a little easier. That being said, I do think we have to come to a point where, I don't necessarily I just don't want the games that are coming out to have to be held back so much by like having to also do past gen versions. Like if the game has such an ambition to do what it wants to do that it can only run on the next gen systems, then I think it shouldn't be hampered. I think they should strive to do it on the system that they feels. I want to clarify that I don't think the decision to cancel the PS4 versions and the Xbox One versions was made lightly. I think at some point they were making the game, they realized how ambitious it was, and then they realized, you know what? It's one of two things, or perhaps both. Either it wouldn't have been cost effective to keep producing this older gen version. I think it would have been like Cyberpunk's last gen versions, or two, that it really genuinely did feel like the game's ambition was surpassing the hardware it was being built for, and they decided to keep it to next gen versions. We won't ultimately know the story, but I think that decision I don't think was made lightly. So if they are doing it, I think it can only benefit the game.
So you think that 2 years into a new generation is like enough for them to start moving forward to only newer gen consoles?
I've seen companies do less. I've seen companies like, as soon as new system out, well, see you later, old console. We're done with ya. So giving 2 years is certainly shorter in like relatively speaking. But no, I've seen worse, and I've also seen better. We saw that with the PS3 and PS4 / 360 Xbox One, they took forever to make the actual exclusives for an Xbox One. They kept those last gen versions going for a while. And I don't necessarily want them to go that long doing both SKUs. It may be a bit soon, but you know, if they're ready to kind of like get ready to go forward, then sure, go for it. 2 years I think is fine.
I mean, under normal circumstances, I would agree that, like, 2 years seems like plenty of time. But, like, they've been so hard to get. I mean, it's not really fair to somebody who can't get one. Like, it's not that you can't afford it. It's not any of these factors. It's like, no, you just simply can't get one of the consoles. I mean, it's crazy. I don't think it's ever been, like, this
bad
long before everyone
2 years.
Yeah. But I think 2 years is a normal timeline to like only support the newer gens. I don't think that that's crazy, but like with the supply chain issues and stuff, not being able to get them, it seems like kind of like you know, tossing like I don't know, however many of your customers, it seems like tossing them away. Like, oh, sorry, can't do it. But then you don't want them to come up with a shitty game. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Because you just come out with Garbo for the PS4 and Xbox One, people would be all pissed off, and then
and I think that's a good point as well. Like if they
can't give you a bad review on the game if they can't get it.
That's
not true, because they have done that. Like they've literally put bad reviews on games because they can't access them. I think what is the saddest to me about just this news, because like the thing is, you know, it's like what Kellie said, you know, like it's not about like you can't afford it, it's that you literally can't get it. And the fact that we're 2 years into a next gen console and you still can't get it is like, that's a problem. Because this just reminds me, well, the sad thing about this to me is that when the game was announced, a lot of people were excited for this game, including myself. I thought it looked really cool. I wrote an article on how I didn't see any black people in there, but I also, in my article, when I wrote about how I didn't see any black people, I still said it looked really cool and I was still going to play it. So, like, for me, this game looked really cool. And for my friends who don't all have a PS5 or a Series X right now, some of them were actually excited to, you know, get into this game. And so now it's like, dang, you know, a year down the line, you're waiting for this game to be developed. You're like, okay, this is one that's on my watch list, only to find out, oh shit, you can't play it anymore. So I think what is the most disappointing is announcing it for all of them and then scaling back. Like if they had come out and it's not their fault. Obviously, it's not their fault. But I think that's just the worst part about this news, is hearing that you're going to have to scale back. So for everyone who didn't get the opportunity to get a next-gen console, it's like, well, fuck, I was super excited for this. I can't play it anymore, you know? But I respect being able to come out and say, look, this game is going to be able to do things that we just can't do on previous gens for whatever reason. You know, that's why we're getting the rest of the Final Fantasy remake going forward is only going to be, you know, PlayStation 5 exclusive. They're not coming to PS4. And based on what I saw on, you know, the PS4 Pro and the PS5 of the regular Final Fantasy remake, like, of course they're not going to be able to scale back. Like, you guys have both played that game. They're only going to make it look better. Like, they're not going to make it look or play any worse. Like, they're only going to make it better. However, I also understand that a lot of people are going to, or a lot of people did, including myself, because this game came out before the PS5, have started their journey on a PS4. And so to be unable to finish that game's journey because you've been locked out of a PS5 for no reason of your own, like, it does kind of suck. But at the same time, you know, what's the developer supposed to do? Like, I'm sorry, we can't hold back Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 to try to make it work on PS4 because there's just too much. Like, this game's too big. There's too many graphics. There's too much stuff. You know, it's going to be the same thing with Gotham Knights. Like, we can't try to do what Cyberpunk did because look how fucking long it took for them to come out with a playable game. What was like, was that 2 years after its release? No, that was like a year after, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, like a year after its release, they're still trying to make a playable game. So yeah, it just sucks to go forward and then, you know, so at least for Final Fantasy fans, y'all already knew ahead of time. So you can't be mad at Square Enix when it comes out for PS5 because they told you up front, going forward, it's only going to be on this. However, you know, you can only do so much. And speaking of that, yeah, you can only do so much. So there was a 16-year-old trans girl from Tennessee, and she was denied an education because she wasn't allowed to use the correct washroom. And so the state decided that she was truant. And while playing Minecraft, cops busted her bedroom door down, and cops busted her bedroom door down before dragging her into foster care. And while they did so, one of the cops said, "Are you winning?" To her as she was playing. So very little context for this story, or at least as much as I know. She was trying to use the washroom, the girls' washroom, and the school wouldn't allow her to. So they sent her home, and then they said that she was truant, which basically means that you're a student that is just not going to school, like, at all for whatever reason, which is, like, illegal. You can't just not go to school, which is stupid. Whatever, I don't want to talk about my personal feelings, but yeah, they said that she was truant, and so I don't know, because I didn't know that if you were truant, the cops come to your fucking house. Like, that is not a thing that I knew was a thing that would happen. Like, usually that doesn't fucking happen.
I remember, like, in some of the old cartoons I used to watch, there was, like, these truant officers. I think back in, like, the 60s or something like that, like, if a kid, like, missed, like, one day of school, they would send truant officers to, like, the house to be like, "Yo, where your kid at? Why are you at school?" Now, it's very, very rare.
Very rare, right?
If a student just doesn't come to school, like, ever, the school might hire, like, a truant officer to just kind of investigate why the kid isn't going to school. But they're not. But one, the school has to hire someone to do that. Most schools will not do that. It's rare because it's kind of like an invasion of privacy if there's a very good reason why the person wouldn't do it. So there's several reasons why it just really doesn't happen in today's modern age, but it did used to be a thing. Like, if someone didn't go to school, officers would come to the house and just say, "Yo, why are you not in school?"
And there were I think by the end of the video there were 3 officers standing in her bedroom while she was still playing Minecraft. It was bizarre, just to see that happen, like, on camera for her viewers as well. And it all because of using the fucking bathroom. Like, and she did mention that, you know, it's not that she didn't want to go to school. Like, she says, you know, they're stopping me from getting an education, and it's not fair to her. So it's not as if she didn't want to willingly, like, not go to school. Like, that she wanted to go to school. She was upset that they were denying her an education. And then cops just show up and, like, into her bedroom. She had a door, she had a chair under her doorknob so no one could get in, and they, like, literally moved it, and then they just walked in, and they're standing there, like, behind her while she's streaming, and one of the cops was like, "Are y'all winning?" And I was like, oh my god, it's like that meme. But, like, ew, it was very disturbing. It was very disturbing to watch, and I wanted to bring it up because I thought it was a very important story to talk about, at least in general, for people to know, like, what's happening in the gaming sphere. You know, you may not feel like it's a gaming thing, but this happened in the middle of her Twitch stream. While she was playing Minecraft. You know, it's in a sense it's relatable to everyone. So I did want to bring it up as a topic just so that I could get her story out there. They don't have her name here, so I don't know what her actual name was. or is, I shouldn't have said was. I don't know what her actual name is, because it's not here. But you know, it's just it was a sad story, but I definitely felt like it needed to be told about like what's happening within our community, and it just reminds me of why it's so important to be upfront with who you are, and if you're comfortable being out with who you are, because the more comfortable it is for people, the more representation there can be. And like this is just, to me, this is stupid. This whole thing just seems blown out of proportion and completely unnecessary. Like, just let her use the fucking bathroom. It's not a big deal. But I don't want to go into any more of that unless you guys have any thoughts on, you know, the situation.
I just think that if it was my child, I wouldn't just I wouldn't just let them stay home from school. Like, I feel like you have to get them into homeschooling or something. Like, I feel like, so the thing was that she felt as though they were denying her an education. But, like, I think as a parent, you have to, like, get another option. Like, you can pull your kid out of school. They can do homeschool. Like, I don't know. I feel like action should have been taken against
Before
the school. Well, against the school because of this. Like, okay, well, you have to let my daughter go to school or get her into homeschool. Like, you can't just let her stay home and play Minecraft. I mean, that would have been great. That would have been super fun. But, like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. See, we know limited information, but I think that in this case, you would think that the parents would have taken action against the school and just been like, well, you know, you're going to let her use the right bathroom, or we're going to put her into another program, because they have online programs for school, you know? I don't know. Like I said, we know very limited information, not even the person's name. You said they were 16, right?
Yeah, she was 16.
So, like, I don't know. That's pretty late. I didn't even think you had to go to school past 16, to be honest.
I think it's 17.
Oh, okay. I kind of, yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. That's a really pretty hard situation, I think. Yeah, I probably would have tried to at least get her to GED. You know, I don't know. Like, what's the option there? Yeah, I don't know. We don't know very much information, but.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, that's the hardest part, because, you know, I don't know how long it was since, you know, she was told she couldn't go back to school, right? Like, I don't know the time frame between this happening and the cops coming into her house. I don't know the relationship that she has with her parents. You know, maybe her parents don't support her being trans, and so maybe they're just like, we agree with the school, I'm calling the cops, you know? Also, I don't know. I don't know. I also, the one thing I do know, unfortunately, is that sometimes homeschooling is very expensive. It can be very expensive to try to do on your own. So if you don't have, because as far as I'm aware, there is no free public school option for homeschooling. Okay. You have to pay for courses, pay for it's not a cheap thing. You would come out cheaper going to a free public school than you would, you know. And I don't know what their monetary situation is. So yeah, it sucks because, you know, we don't know very much information. I could have emailed them and talked to them, but I didn't. So here we are. Branson, did you want to jump in on this before I move on?
Nah, I think I pretty much said my piece on it.
I have a few more things here. What time is it? Okay, we've been on for an hour. Got like 30 minutes left. I got a few more things here. 30 minutes left. Let's see, the good one. Ashoka, the series is coming out.
Yay!
For Star Wars.
Woo!
Is this the one featuring what's that lady's name?
Yes, Rosario Dawson is reprising her role
as
as Ahsoka.
I love her.
Dude, I love Rosario. She's amazing. Yeah, no, she they first had her play Ahsoka in the Mandalorian series, and then she also made a cameo in the Book of Boba Fett, and now she's getting a series, which her appearance in Mandalorian basically set it up for what she was going to be doing. So I'm very excited to see the story. It's actually picking up, I think, a little bit after a loose plot thread from the show Star Wars Rebels. Like, I think she's going to like find a character that went missing during that show. I think that's what the show is supposed to be about. Now, I heard a rumor. I have no idea if this is true or not, but I heard a rumor that Hayden Christensen will be appearing as Anakin Skywalker in the Ahsoka series as a Force ghost. And
what's that?
What's up?
Who is Hayden Christensen? I feel like he played Luke.
No,
Played Anakin.
he played Anakin in episode 2 and 3, and he's also going to be reprising his role for the upcoming Kenobi series. So, if he appears in Ahsoka, I will be over the moon because, okay, I'm going to try to like dance around spoilers here, but let me put it this way. I've been desperate to see Ahsoka and Anakin have like a good conversation for a while, given circumstances that have happened in the Star Wars series. That's all I'm going to say. No, I'm very excited for the Ahsoka series. It's surprising that it just started filming. Like, they said production has begun. So we ain't seeing this show until 2023. So I hope Star Wars fans are ready to wait. But I think it'll be worth it when it does come out.
This guy.
Yes, him. Yes.
Okay. Well, I hope they have a conversation too.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be a good thing. Or at least something good for fans. Hardware sales have been down at... Oh.
No, I was just going to say... I can say with confidence that hardcore fans of the Star Wars series are probably waiting for this specific conversation. That's all I'm going to say. Continue your segue.
Due to component shortages, Switch sales have decreased by 20% year on year, with the Japanese company partly attributing that downward slide to the component shortage. That's from Game Developer. So yeah, this is probably the first time that we've seen the Switch go down in sales by 20%. Oh my gosh, that's actually a pretty big margin for Switch. That's actually a pretty big margin for Switch. Like,
yeah. It's funny to me that they're like blaming it on supply shortages, which it could be. But like, how many people are like, doesn't everyone have one by now?
Yeah.
I don't, like, whenever they're like, our sales are down, like, yeah, the console's been out for years.
5 years.
Literally everyone has one.
So that's what I keep thinking.
And birth rates are down, so they're not like repopulating that quickly.
That's what I keep thinking. If you want a Switch, it's been 5 years. There are like 10 different options. Like, not even an exaggeration. There's the Pokemon Switch, there's the Animal Crossing Switch, there's the Mario Switch, there's the OLED Switch, there's the white OLED Switch, there's the 4 different colors of the Switch Lite, there's the Pokemon Special Edition Switch Lite, there's the Pokemon Let's Go Switch. Like, there's the Smash Bros. Switch. There's a regular ass, like, red and blue Switch. Like, there's so many Switch options, and it's been 5 years. So I just keep thinking, who the fuck keep buying Switches? Like, who hasn't bought a Switch in the last 5 years? That
the answer is
me. I'm gonna buy the new one. It's me. They haven't released a new one, so I haven't bought a new one. That's why they're down.
I guess so. But Nintendo's also be like, y'all didn't have kids in 2017, 2018. Come on, we got Switches to sell, man. Let's get it. Let's go. 4 or 5 year olds. We need to sell some Switches.
They have a Monster Hunter Switch.
They have a Monster Hunter Switch, yeah.
They have a Switch for everything.
Speaking of Monster,
they don't have themes 5 years later.
Speaking of Monster Hunter, I don't think this is on the docket, but they had that Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak presentation, I think yesterday, as of this recording, and they announced a new Pro controller for Monster Hunter. This is the second Monster Hunter specific themed Pro controller. That series, if you have any doubt that series is big, like, it's getting its own second own Pro controller designed to itself.
A part of me just wants to ask why, but okay.
Why? Because Monster Hunter is big. People will buy that controller. I know it's
big, but like, why do they need another?
It has its own amiibo series. Now people know me that I collect.
Still doesn't answer my question.
It's big. That's meant to say. But I was just gonna say, like, Monster Hunter has its own amiibo series. It's one of the few amiibo sets that I don't collect because I just don't play a lot of Monster Hunter. So I just focus on the other amiibo sets that are out there. But that's
I feel like sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I feel like they had to put out another Pro controller because if you've ever played Monster Hunter, which I have once, I did so much button mashing, I almost broke what I was playing on. So
well, there you go. There's your answer. People broke their original Pro controller at Monster Hunter, so they're getting a new Monster Hunter Pro controller.
That's why. See, I knew Kellie knew the answer. She was just waiting to tell me.
Oh yeah, she had the answer all along.
So EA has teased 4 games coming in 2023, including a new remake and a major IP. I have absolutely no idea what EA would even be thinking, so I don't care. I'll just wait until they publish it. It's going to be The Sims 5.
That could be a thing.
As their major IP, it's going to be The Sims 5.
Aren't they still making that Dead Space remake? Is that the remake they're referring to, or is this something else?
EA was Dead Space? See, I don't even know.
Yeah, they did.
Wow.
They did Dead Space, so that might be the remake. I don't know, But new IP, I mean, that's literally a new IP. You can't really speculate on what that.
You can't guess what that is.
We'll just have to see what becomes of that.
Well, the Dead Space they're doing it as the Callisto Protocol, I thought. So that's already been announced. Would you consider that a new IP then?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if that's what they're referring to, but
Yeah.
it seems not if they're saying new remake. So I don't
And
know.
they're not just saying that.
Yeah,
Well, I feel like EA hasn't had any big noteworthy games lately, right?
Not that.
Yeah, if you gotta think like that, the answer's no.
You're right.
The answer's no.
You're right.
So speaking of old things, Apple is discontinuing the iPod Touch.
What, iPods are still a thing.
All right. Anyway,
I dead ass thought people have already moved on to iPhones and iPads. I didn't think people still buy iPods.
Guys, this guy that I went on a date with, he had his like old ass fat iPod with a little like roll clicker, and he plugged that shit into the car and was like, I've got some jams from like 2004. And I was like, but you have an iPhone, like why not just play it from your phone? Like what's the purpose of what you're doing?
They're pirated songs.
True. They are probably all pirated.
Not that I know. I don't know anything.
But
my iPod Touch, all legit. I still
I mean, okay. Same. The most annoying part though was that like to get to the next song he had to like scroll the wheel through like everything, and I was like, you could just open your phone. Nope,
I
you
really
could just
love the scroller though. Don't you miss
Nope.
that? Like
not
make,
at all.
Like, click.
I like the clicks. I like the clicks, but the problem is when you're trying to find a specific song like he was, that shit took so long because you have to like scroll, click the playlist, scroll, find the song, oh shit, pass the scroll back, click it. Now, on your phone, which he had an iPhone, you could literally just say, hey Siri, play the song.
Mm-hmm.
But like, why does everything have to be so convenient? You know?
Because we were in the car.
And then you have to work for things.
You know what? You're right. No, Kelly is right. Why does everything have to be so convenient? On that note, tune in every Monday to watch an episode of HPCritical Doesn't Hold Up, where a lot of old games were not convenient. Anyway.
There you go. You can watch Brandon struggle through them. You can also watch me struggle through that games. Mario game.
Hey,
what was that Mario game?
I
played?
You played Super Mario 64. Yeah, if you don't have it,
I don't know why I like that. Without a controller.
Yeah, without a controller is trash. Straight up. Yeah. Oh God. Let me just say this real quick. My God, this last Monday I played the game for Doesn't Hold Up called Light Crusader, which I totally put on some of the social media as Last Crusader, not realizing that's a different thing entirely. But anyway, Light Crusader's trash. Don't play it. It's like I have not dropped the Doesn't Hold Up game so fast. Like I was playing, it's like this is so bad. Ugh.
Don't worry, Brad. Well, I was never gonna play it.
No worries, because I too was never gonna play.
That was a general statement to our listeners. Thank you.
So I have two more stories for you guys. One of them is that FIFA is officially changing its name to EA Sports FC. FIFA 23 will arrive this year, but the name will change after that. This is from IGN, written by Joe Screbbles. EA has announced that the FIFA series will officially change its name to EA Sports FC after this year's FIFA 23, ending what will be an almost 3-decade partnership with football's governing body. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I just thought they were always just called FIFA. Because I am dumb and I know nothing about sports. Yeah.
I mean, what does the FC stand for exactly? Football?
Yeah.
Something? Like, I feel... Okay, so whatever. If they're ending their partnership with FIFA and have to change the name, business be business, right? But EA Sports FC, that sounds so generic as hell. Is it just because they're...
I guess they can't call it FIFA anymore, so they just went with FC. However, I will say that EA Sports FC will keep FIFA's league, club, and player licenses, including 19,000 plus players, 700 plus teams, 100 plus stadiums, and 30 leagues. They included a number of messages of support for the move from English Premier League and a bunch of other leagues that I'm not going to read. FIFA itself has not released a statement as of the writing of this article, though there is a quote here that says, this new independent platform will bring fresh opportunity to innovate, create, and evolve. It was a message from Group GM of EA Sports, Cam Weber. So it looks as if now that they're not under the FIFA title, they might have more freedom with what they want to do with the games. But they're also still keeping some licenses. Because when I first heard this, I was like, who's gonna play a FIFA game without like the players? Like it's like the whole point is to play with your favorite teammates, right? Like I would assume like the point is to play with your favorite teammates. So if you don't have those teammates or those teams, what's the point? But they will have licenses for some of the teams and players, so we will see. But go ahead, Brandon.
No, I didn't really have too much more to say other than that. Like, I guess this is what they had to do because I think America is one of the few countries that calls it soccer. Everywhere else is just known as football, so they couldn't really call it EA football or EA soccer. Or they could have, but it then would have different names, and then it would have been like a problem because there's a lot of other soccer games that do have that problem. Wait, isn't there a game called like that's literally called football, like for soccer? You know, I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate. I'm not gonna speculate on it. I guess it's what they had to do. But yes, if they actually have the actual players, then sure, go for it. Kick the ball, do the thing.
Wonder why they couldn't get this contract renewed.
I'm just gonna play Mario Strikers football next month. Thank you.
This I just don't understand. Like y'all have had this 30-year contract. What happened? Like like what? It's not FIFA anymore. It's not called FIFA. It's not the same game. We don't want soccer FC. We don't want that. We don't want EA.
It's gonna take people a while to adjust because that's become. People who love those games that's become their catchphrase. Like, hey, you want to play some FIFA?
Yeah, it's literally just called FIFA. Like,
if they do that, like the big basketball game these days, the 2K series. So people will literally say, "Yo, you want to run some 2K?" If that balance of power ever shifts, that's gonna also be a big paradigm shift for people's just catchphrases.
I wonder if they're gonna change them all. 2K will be EA Sports BB.
Well. 2K NBA 2K is done by 2K Games. Like they pretty much are out of the EA is pretty much out of like the basketball. They had one. It was NBA Live, but then they just kind of stopped because the 2K thing was running on the ground. I think competition for these sports games is good because they do be selling you the same game every year sometimes. So it was good for a while that NBA Live had competition with 2K. But now that 2K is now that EA has forfeited the basketball video game business, now 2K is falling into that same trap that EA used to because it also is not facing competition. So, what are you gonna do, man? What's up?
Can y'all see and hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, I totally got disconnected.
Really? I saw you the whole time.
Yes. No,
you were frozen for a second.
Okay, yeah, that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last story I want to talk about is about gay shit because it's me. Horrible segue. I'm sorry. So it's all about Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast. Yay! On Monday, Magic the Gathering and D&D publisher Wizards of the Coast announced a Pride Secret Lair set called Pride Across the Multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
It described the Magic the Gathering Secret Lair as a celebration of the LGBTQIA2+ community's relentless creativity, but fans of the trading card game quickly pointed out the set's announcement and accompanying stories were blocked in several countries. Wizards of the Coast released a statement addressing the comments on Thursday. The statement came via a Twitter thread titled "An Update on the Pride Across the Multiverse Secret Lair Drop." So I know I just said a lot of words to summarize what I just said. Basically, they had this LGBT Pride set that's coming out for Magic the Gathering, and they were releasing it, but fans quickly noticed that a lot of different territories were not selling this Pride set, and they were calling Wizards of the Coast out for not selling this Pride set. And this is what they said. Quote, "Selling and communicating a product globally with an age rating of 13+ comes with a variety of regional challenges that we have to navigate anew whenever we try to do something different and special. Sometimes that means we don't get it quite right on the first pass and learn and adapt as quickly as we're able. We're very proud of Pride Across the Multiverse, the work that the various artists, designers, and partners have done, and we want to share that joy as widely as possible. We acknowledge the impact of our misstep when the LGBTQIA2S+ communities in these regions and beyond, and are actively taking steps to address processes to prevent such issues in the future." At this time, Wizards of the Coast has not confirmed what these steps will be. They said, our goal is to share with as many fans as we can to celebrate the pride and our diversity, and we are excited to celebrate this work with you. And that's it. That's all they said.
That's a pretty non-statement.
And that's all we know. It does look like wait, where is it here? Okay, yeah, so it says, when the Secret Lair was first announced on May 2nd, fans in several Latin American countries discovered 2 articles would redirect them to the Magic the Gathering homepage when they clicked on it. These were the set's first look announcements and a note for Stranger, a story article about a separate thing. So, like, when they clicked on the article, it would either take them back to the homepage or it would take them somewhere where they couldn't purchase this Pride set. But as of now, the pages have been seemingly unblocked in several countries in the region, including Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, and Argentina. However, they appear to remain blocked in several other countries. This includes South Asian countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Taiwan. There's some other blocked things there that I'm not going to read. But I just thought this was so interesting, and the reason I thought it was interesting, and I obviously want you guys' opinion on it, is because it's like Wizards decided they were going to do something good, and they released this Pride set, this Magic the Gathering Pride set for their community. But then, for whatever reason, it was unavailable in certain countries, and then they got called out for it, and then they unblocked it in certain countries, but it's still blocked in other countries. And I don't know whether people should blame them for this, because I don't know if it was like one of those decisions that you're like, yeah, we can't release it here because of this or that, and we know it's going to have bad feedback or it's going to cause issues, so we're not going to release it there. Or is it that people are just like, if you're going to do a Pride set, you got to go you got to do it whole hog, right? Like, you got to try to release it everywhere, despite... What? Is it because I said whole hog? You gotta go all in, you know? Like, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it all in. And that means that if you're gonna release an LGBT Pride set, even if these countries are not okay with LGBT Pride sets, that doesn't mean that you block access for the, individuals that are LGBT that are in these countries. But on the other hand, from a business standpoint, it's like, I should probably not release this there because they're probably going to ban the whole fucking game. So it's a very interesting tightrope to cross. And when fans did call them out, they apologized. They didn't say what they would do, but then they made it available in certain places, but it's still not available. So I guess my question is, how do you guys feel about this? Like, what do you think they should have done? What do you think would have been the right move, if there even is one?
I don't think there is one.
I was gonna say, I don't know. Like, it's a shitty situation, but I don't know if there was another move they could have made here.
So you think they did what they were supposed to, which is just not release it in certain territories? Because remember, they didn't release it in certain territories, and then when they got called out, they went back and released it in a number of them.
Sure. Like, go ahead, Kelly.
No, I mean, is it supported? I don't know. Like, what materials? I don't understand, like, what is being released. Is it Magic the Gathering cards, right? Okay.
Yeah. It's cards, but these cards have illustrations of... It's an LGBT Pride set card, so they're going to have illustrations of, like, same-sex couples maybe dancing or holding hands or, things of that nature.
Oh, wait. So they're not, like, changing the face cards of the game. It's just a Pride set that's on the back of the card?
Well, so Magic cards...
I don't understand.
So Magic the Gathering cards are kind of like Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
And on the front, they have artwork based on, the characters on the cards. And as far as I'm aware, this Pride set is still a playable set. It's just going to have illustrations of LGBT presentations on the playable set of cards.
It's not changing the game at all.
Correct. It's not changing the game at all.
Visuals. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like Gay Uno, or Rainbow Uno, basically. Yeah. Like, it's Rainbow Uno, yeah. But yes, it's Rainbow Uno, but Magic the Gathering.
Okay. Thank you for that much needed content.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. That feels a little different, I guess, because it's not like part of the game that you have to have. So like it should have been available everywhere, I guess. I don't know. You should have the option if that's what you want. Like it's not changing the game. It's not like they're forcing. I thought like it was like forcing a narrative into the story. Is there a story? I don't know. I thought that was like the hang up there, but it's not. It's just a visual Pride set. Then I don't see why that would be not released. But then I mean, we've kind of like talked about this in certain countries. They really do have like restrictions on stuff and like heavy censorship, and you have to be careful of that. Just because like if you get the whole game banned or get like, can they take legal action against you for some things? I mean, that's kind of scary for a company.
Yeah, that's the main thing. That's the main thing I was thinking about. Like, I guess when it came to certain regions, they had to weigh the risk versus the reward. Yeah, we could try to just force it there anyway and damn the consequences. But if they decide to ban the whole Magic game, then we lose everyone in that country, and that's something that they probably can't afford to take. That's a loss they can't afford to take, rather.
Is it worth it for the LGBT community, Brandon? That is the question. Are you willing to take that risk? If you're willing to make this Pride set, are you willing to take that risk for your company?
Clearly, the company was not.
So is this all just a ruse then? What's the point of doing a Pride set?
Like you said, Jerel,
if you're not willing to go all the way.
Yeah, they didn't go whole hog on that one. Yeah! Let's go, Synergy Juice.
I have never regretted saying a saying so much in my life.
You gotta go all in.
Can I show you guys one of them? This is one of them.
What's nice?
There's two guys, and the caption at the bottom says, I do. The title is called, the title of the card is Savor the Moment. At the bottom it says, I do, and it's a male same-sex couple kissing, and if you play this card, you get to take an extra turn.
Hey,
but so that is going into the game. That's not just a video.
Yes.
Okay.
It is going into the game, yes.
So that's the other problem. So that's the other problem, too, because let's say... Oh, that's nice. But what I was going to say is that's a problem, too, because, like, Magic, of course, has its competitive scene, people who enter tournaments. And if they're not allowed to have access to these cards that are just straight up could be, like, really good for their deck build. Like, let's say someone from the country that got their card banned goes to an international Magic tournament and they're playing against an American player who can use all the Pride cards, and they just got the sick-ass Pride card that's like really good for their deck loadout, and the other player just can't use it, and they're like, just lose. So that also just sucks for the metagame for those who can't get these cards. It's just like, I know there's some Yu-Gi-Oh cards that were never published outside of Japan, and American players have been complaining about that shit for years. Because that shit kept happening. I don't know how they fixed that. I don't follow competitive Yu-Gi-Oh that closely. I just play the video games whenever they release. That's pretty much me and Yu-Gi-Oh these days.
Yeah, I mean,
well, sorry, you guys.
I just feel like it does. It's like those are cards like that actually play into the game. So I feel like that would be a little bit different than just some sort of visual set. Like everyone would have access to all of the cards to make it fair.
See, I don't know if what these cards do are also replicated on other cards.
I'm sure. I don't know.
Like, I don't know.
Like, whenever I think of Magic the Gathering, I think of, like, a monster on a card. I don't think of, like, two, like, beautiful women with a giant iguana in the background. It's not, like, what I'm picturing. Yeah. But now it exists. Kind of happy it exists. And
also, 50% of the proceeds for the packages that are sold are going to the Trevor Project.
That's really good, yeah.
50% is a lot, because most companies do not do 50%.
That's true.
That is pretty cool.
Some of these are really nice, though. Like, the artwork on this is really nice. It is it's really nice. This one's still my favorite. All cards should look like this. Like, what is going on there? I'll tell you what's going on there.
Whole hog.
Anyway. Oh my god. And with that, I think it's time for us to say goodnight.
Wait, hold on. I got one last thing I want to talk about real quick.
Yes.
Because, especially since Kellie's here, but Jerel, if you saw the trailer, I would like your thoughts as well. Has anyone seen the trailer for Heart of the Dragon?
What is that?
Heart of the Dragon is the new show that's coming on HBO. It is a prequel to Game of Thrones and is about the Targaryen family. And that trailer got me actually pretty excited. Like, I didn't think, obviously Game of Thrones final season scarred a lot of us, like, pretty bad. And even with the leave of the writers who were behind such atrocities, I thought it was going to be difficult for me to get excited about a Game of Thrones project again. But I saw that trailer, and I'm in. I want to see how this goes. It was great. There was so many Targaryens in that trailer. There was the origins of other houses. There were persons of color there. I was so happy about that. It was... I'm ready to watch that. It's coming out August. I was just wondering if you guys had any thoughts about it. But you haven't seen the trailer, so...
But why would they call it Heart of the Dragon?
Because it's the Targaryens.
Well, I know why they called it Heart of the Dragon, but like, I just looked it up, and there's a Jackie Chan movie called Heart of the Dragon. So like, that's the first thing I saw. So they should just really not name it Heart of the Dragon. They should call it something else.
Wait, no, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. It's House of the Dragon, not Heart of the Dragon. I apologize.
Okay, there we go.
I apologize to both of you and to all of our listeners. It is House of the Dragon, not Heart of the Dragon. I don't know why I said that. There we go.
I found it now.
Yes, House of the Dragon. Technically, Game of Thrones, House of Dragon. I ain't gonna call it Game of Thrones, House of Dragon. It's House of Dragon. But yeah.
I mean, I am pretty excited about it. I haven't watched the trailer because I don't like to watch trailers. Like, I want to like just go into it never seeing anything. That's kind of what
That's fair.
You know. But I have been looking forward to it. I am House Targaryen. I mean, Kellie.
Kellie, literally.
Yeah, and I'm very excited because after Game of Thrones ended is when I rebranded from, I used to be Warrior Woman, I rebranded to Khaleesi. I'm coming, like, now I'm going to be relevant again. You know, I wasn't relevant for all this time. Nobody gave a shit. In fact, they probably hated me because they hated Game of Thrones so much. Now they're going to love me again. I actually have a Targaryen flag.
Let's go.
It's not hung up in here, but I probably will hang it up again. Yeah, we're a Targaryen. Stands in this house even after the finale. Still a Targaryen stan.
Hey, there was a in Orlando there was a Game of Thrones concert that happened after the show finished. I still went to that because regardless of how I feel about the final season, that music is fire. So I was like, I needed to go watch that concert. It was wonderful.
I liked this last season, to be honest. I didn't even mind the finale. I thought at least they ended it. Like, at least they didn't, like, wake up. Sure. No, can you imagine Bran wakes up, like, in the end or something? It's all a dream. Like, I'm so happy I didn't go
I will say that I don't necessarily hate how things happen. I just hate the pacing. That was my main thing. The pacing of last season is what really happened.
If they would have stretched it out even a little bit longer, I feel like it would have made a lot more sense. I don't know. But then it would have been given away, without saying spoilers, but, like, it would have just been given away if you, like, did any more foreshadowing or led up to some of the events. Like, I don't know. It had to just be, like, kind of sudden, but
sure.
Anyway,
I suppose.
Still a Targaryen stan. I'm very excited, though.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I have to say about Game of Thrones is that Sansa was my favorite character in the books. However, I read the books and I didn't watch the rest of the show. So I've seen season 1 and like some of season 2, and that's it. So yeah, I don't know much about Game of Thrones aside from what's in the books. From what I did see from the books and what I did see from the show, it did diverge quite a bit. Like they did have main plot points, but it's not like a lot of it is very separate to what from what I had read back in college. So
they
I actually stopped watching.
So they consolidate some of the characters from the book to the show, but it's like if you get to the end, you'll see a lot of it lining up again. Like, I mean, I guess I don't want to do spoilers, but you should watch it. It's really good. It's really good. I can't believe you haven't seen it. I'm fucking shocked.
When I was thinking about watching it, everyone was talking about how, we got the news of the Starbucks cup in the background and how nobody cared anymore. And, like, the show was just going downhill. And I was like, well, there's no reason to waste my time now. That's literally what happened because I was planning on watching it. And then it was right when I was about to start, like, going back to season 2, they were talking about the Starbucks cup in the background, and I was like, oh, so they don't care no more. Like, okay. The only other thing I'll say about Game of Thrones is that this is a Baratheon household. I said it.
I'm a Stark for life.
You would be a Stark, Brandon.
I'm literally Brandon.
You would be a Stark.
I have to be a Stark. But
that's why you would be a Stark.
Yes, I would.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe I should watch Game of Thrones. We'll see what happens. You know what, Kelly? How about this? Let's make a pact.
Okay.
A pact?
You finish Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'll finish Game of Thrones.
Hold on. Where are you in Game of Thrones, Jerel? You say you started watching.
Well, I would have to start season 2.
Start over.
I'd have to start season
Start
2.
over.
No, I remember season 1. It was pretty much like.
I think I'm gonna rewatch Game of Thrones. I think that's like where my life is headed right now. I mean,
Okay,
that
well,
is like
I mean, this is a good time to rewatch because
Yeah.
House of the Dragon's going to come out. It'd be cool to refresh, I suppose. Even though this is a prequel, but don't matter.
I'll have to move my PS4 to play Final Fantasy. I guess
You
I can't
won't.
finish
Just
it.
play it
Though.
on PS5.
I have to buy it again. Hello, I gotta.
No, you don't. Just put the disc in the PS5.
Oh, I do have my disc. I have my game.
Yeah, just all you gotta do is copy your save to the cloud, put the disc in your PS5, download the save on your PS5, and continue from where you left off. Honestly, you should probably just start over at this point. If I have to start over, you should probably also start over because it's been a while.
If I have to start over, I'm not doing it. So.
All right, well then I'm not starting from season 1. I'll start from season 2. I feel like I have more of an investment here.
He does, though. He has more shows to watch than Kelly has left in Final Fantasy.
Games to play, yes, seriously.
Well, not games to play. No, not games to play. Remake. I'm just saying.
I mean,
yeah. If we're talking about remake progress to Game of Thrones progress, Jerel has a more of a mountain to climb.
Okay. How about I watch season 2 and 3 of Game of Thrones, and you finish Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Season 2 and 3, okay. You're not... See, that's the thing. I might not want to play Final Fantasy, but you're going to want to watch fucking
That is
Thrones
not
once you get to season 3.
We'll see.
Season 3 is probably one of the better seasons, I'd say.
I started watching concurrently from 4. I binged 1, 2, and 3 to catch up before 4 started, and then just watching every year since.
Yeah. I think that's where we started watching all the time or every week because we didn't see them at first. We tried season 1 multiple times. We're like, this shit sucks. And then finally it just caught on. I don't know. And then in the end of season 1, we're like, we need more now. Yeah.
It's still on HBO, right?
Oh yeah. If you have Max, the entire series is there as well.
Okay.
Does it look like I can afford HBO Max? The answer should be yes because I look rich.
I mean, I don't know if you had it or not, but you also have, people that you know to get subscriptions. So, I'm just.
What does that mean? Are you suggesting that I password share, Brandon, on the HP Critical Podcast?
I'm just saying, man, your web is strong, man. I envy your web of confidence.
Let's say that when I.
Hog.
All right, and now once again with that, I think it's a good time to end this.
Yeah,
thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you so much, Kelly. It was a wonderful conversation as usual. Thank you all our listeners, and yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.